And is that their experience? Does someone who comes with autism have the experience of source in that different way in this life as they intended to have it?
Well, there again, it is a little bit of a variable. If they have the opportunity of interacting with those who are not trying to make them be more than they are, then the answer to that question is emphatically yes. If they are born into an environment where the people around them are determined to make them normal, then it's like, hey, I went to a lot of trouble being born like this and you're messing it up.
What's the nature of going to a lot of trouble to be born like this?
More with your question?
I've heard you say this before. What exactly does that mean?
Well, we don't mean there's no trouble. What we mean is I came with powerful intention that your behavior is not going to overcome. So I am born in a way that your intention about me is not going to prevail, which means you're going to have to acquiesce to my intention, which will be good for both of us when it happens.
Yeah. So I hear you saying this, that you can be born as a person with autism or an intellectual disability or all kinds of things and still in this life have the experience of being in the vortex as much as any of the rest of us have.
Well, you have to remember that what success is, from our point of view, is joy. And what joy is not disallowing your relationship with that perspective. And so in a comparative world, most people, there are so many people who are living in, by global standards, very nice situations who still are pinching themselves off from well-being,
right,
because the comparative process seems to dominate the thinking process of most humans. And so as we visit with you, maybe one of the reasons that you extrapolated from some conversation that we were actually referring to emotions as intelligence is because when you begin to approach life, when and only when you begin to approach life on an emotional basis, meaning you care enough about feeling good that you're willing to take the combination of thoughts that are surrounding you and mold them into something that does feel good, then you've got it. It's interesting to live in an environment of intelligence with so much potential to think about so many things in so many different ways. And that alone, just all the subjects that you could ponder, is a very big undertaking. But when you begin doing coupling, when you begin feeling the association between the focused thought that you have established based upon everything that you could think about and its relationship with that broader part of you, so that now you are managing this relationship, now you really begin to get the idea of what true alignment is, what true blending is, what true love is. So isn't it logical that someone who is focusing less, who is contradicting on vibration less, just by sheer volume of thoughts, would have a greater opportunity to find vibrational alignment with that broader part. So the potential for feeling good is much stronger with the beasts of your planet and with those. That's why we teach meditation. Meditation brings you almost to an autistic state, in the sense that it slows down your process. You are not focused upon all those things. You're not trying to remember what you did yesterday or what happened in your childhood. You're not contemplating where you should go next or what's wrong with this situation. You quiet the mind by slowing down the focus. And when you slow down the focus, you stop resistant thought. And when you stop resistant thought, there is a blending, and that blending is what that joyful feeling of comfort or security or well-being or love or appreciation really is. And so it's not dependent on thought at all. Of course, I get that. Well, it is dependent upon thought because the thoughts are blending and vibrating, but it really is the allowance. It is finding a way to allow the thought of inner being to play a more dominant role in the thinking process, in the moment. It's something as simple as when you're appreciating, you're in alignment. When you're criticizing, you're out of alignment. And it's much more likely for someone who's not involved in so many detailed, nitty-gritty combinations of what In other words, just ask yourself, who's more likely to appreciate? And as you discover yourself more and more likely to appreciate, then it doesn't matter how many thoughts you have access to or how avidly you have been conjuring them and focusing upon them. It's the juxtaposition, it's the blending of the thought of your inner being and the thought of you in this moment that matters, not the quantity of the thought.
Mm-hmm. Not the
quantity of the thought, not the caliber of the thought. In other words, think about someone who. Oh, here's a good way to approach it. So, and this is wonderful. Give us a moment, and we'll let you all in on it. So, thinking about the specific negative thought, going to the general negative thought, going to the general good feeling or positive thought, going to the specific positive thought. So, which do you think would be more conducive to alignment? A specific negative thought, or a general negative thought, or a general positive thought? So then ask yourself, who's more likely to be specifically negative? The more intelligent among you, meaning the more practiced thinkers among you, you just make trouble for yourselves because you incessantly probe and poke and compare and hold yourself unnecessarily in that specific place. So the conversation that we've been having about going general, really answers a large part of what you're reaching for here. And so what about someone who is born intending to go general? You're just not gonna goose me into strong specifics. I was born general. And in the process of that, so then those who want to apply the concept of intelligence would say, this is not as much intelligence because this intelligence doesn't have the capacity to probe and poke and peruse and identify and compare. And you have to acknowledge that the most, in the way that society wants to use the word intelligence, the most intelligent among you are the most troubled among you because you just incessantly are reaching for another means of comparing, and in the process, often, not always, it doesn't have to be that way, hold yourself apart from who you are. So then you come to someone like us, and we begin talking incessantly about this process of thinking and becoming and being deliberate about your thought. And here is the thing that we were coming around to that we were so enjoying by ourselves that we want to bring all of you in on, is that you have the advantage now because you know the whole process. You have the advantage of finding yourself too specifically focused and therefore depriving yourself of alignment. And you can deliberately go general and feel the ease that it brings. And then you can deliberately, once you know you've got your sea legs, begin to apply more specific thought until you bring yourself into alignment. And we have to say that what you came forth as to experience as deliberate creators is to be really, really, really specifically positively oriented. Because that's where your true sense of power, having the energy that creates worlds flowing through your fingertips, and recognizing that because you conjured it and because you wanted it and because you aligned with it, that you are worthy and capable and allowers of whatever it is that you are choosing. It just does not get any better than this. But there are a whole lot of people that are being born that may not get to that specific place, who are generally in vibrational sync with who they are, that are much happier than the majority of the population on your planet. That's the best way of putting it.
Perfect.